Sue going to join me just in case I can't read some of the writing. I'm Jay Crystalman with the county, Community Development Director. Yes.
So I'll read the questions. What did you learn today from City of Flagstaff and NEU? Was there anything you learned that surprised you? What stood out to you as most important?
Thank you, Celia. So one of the things that we learned was that NAU students like to party and cause pandemonium. Just kidding. We didn't really have that written down. What we did learn was that the decrease in police reports when partnerships and good communication took place, so that was encouraging. Accurate statistics about NAU is, I think it's 46 or 48% of the students live on campus, which is incredible. It's very high. Student housing on campus must be paid by fees, so it's not subsidized by anything other than that. That was interesting. New problem with student housing over the years, people complain about absentee landlords and big return to the landlord, and it was construed as a problem that we have not been addressing. Comprehensive housing problem in general. What's the definition of family? Something that came out of our table was that there are 8 unrelated people constitute a family for a home in Flagstaff. Dan, correct me if I'm wrong there. Student rentals obviously is an issue. Is this the next part of the question? I'm sorry. Or we don't have the tools to deal with behavior from the issues that come from student housing. And I think that was pertaining to the city code in particular. What entices a developer to go with student housing rather than... It's a team effort. I don't think so. I'm doing all right. Is it the parking calculation that entices the developers to go with a student housing instead of the apartment complex instead of a room and board type situation? And 1 parking space per bedroom is what the outcome of that is. And we talked about parking garages and such. And one thing that was interesting is that the city of Flagstaff, I believe Mark said that it was 5% of communities in the United States, cap the parking, which we found interesting. So that actually helps in our locale. Sounds good. Okay, so for question 2, it was interesting to us that it was the same corporate players. I think everybody probably thought that was interesting. The land trust idea at UC Davis, keeping houses permanently affordable. We found it disappointing that NAU wasn't trying to do something more like UC Davis with the cottages and the faculty and folks living there on campus, as well as the staff and students, faculty. The Student Housing Action Plan, so the SHAP, thought that was a fantastic idea. Our table indicated they'd like to see something like that in the future in our community. If we don't get that, then maybe, thank you. So we'd like to see the task force created, the SHAP, community liaison and the neighborhood liaison. We thought was a fantastic idea, something that could be implemented here. Enabling legislation is better in Colorado and California. That was one of our comments. Aspen Heights seems to locate its student housing farther away from campuses, and that seems to be not just here in Flagstaff, but there are other locations with 8 dwelling units per area, so it's not even remotely considered high density at 8. So for question 3, okay, thank you. So we can learn from other communities, mistakes that have been made, hopefully improve upon those. We found that Prop 207 is a major obstacle. What's that one? Sorry. Oh yeah, thank you. The big corporations that build these, thank you very much, that build these projects, they take the money outside of the community. They don't keep it here like a mom and pop rental would. A regional plan does not support us in some ways. I think think overall it's been fine-tuned. It should encourage more redevelopment at higher intensity. I'm sure it does. Thank you. So back to Aspen Place, how do you integrate 700 students into one place? High density at certain locations. Well, our answer was that it was case by case and it depends on the neighborhood, so I think it varies considerably. Diversity of housing, we like the models at UC Davis, but again, Prop 207, how do we persuade the developers and encourage them? Market rate housing next to students could be a fine alternative. Contact developers of the kinds of projects we would like to see and consider them being built there. The task force, again, we're back to this, is a great idea, especially since we can't stop processing applications. We don't have a moratorium. We should do this sooner rather than later. And back to the SHAP. Let's get to work on the SHAP. We like that one. Let's look at all the tools we have so that we can thank you. To give us a way to control behavior and to manage our projects, make lists, make sure that council understands what leverage it has to mitigate the problems, and then change criteria for the TIAs. Rick, I'm sure you'll appreciate that. And one of the final things that came out of our group was to de-annex everything back to the county. That's it.
Thank you very much. So, it's all right with everyone. We won't read questions. We'll just try to move right